Don't be late. All right, good evening. This is the Sunbury Services Committee meeting for September 3rd, 2025. Can I get a roll call?
Mr. Capel.
Here.
Mr. Ayer. Here. Mr. Grumney.
Here.
And Mayor St. John is here.
Not 10 minutes late.
So present, we have quorum.
Yeah. I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes from our August 6th meeting. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Grumney. Roll call?
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney.
Yes.
Mr. Ayer. Yes. Mayor St. John.
Yes.
4 yeas, minutes passed.
All right. So I will turn this over to Carla and her oversized visual aids.
Yes, good evening, services. So I did prepare a PowerPoint presentation, but since we do have some large oversized graphics here in council chambers, but it could be difficult to follow along at home. I plan on pointing and talking to you, but also making sure at least on the screen, they have a couple visual aids. So if you look in the packet on page 4, so slide 1, it starts my PowerPoint presentation. If you go to slide 2, this gives a quick little timeline reminder of where we're at right now with the East Granville widening project. So we had a public meeting at the end of June. We got comments back from the public, and now the end of August, we have now sent a formal response to anyone who provided their contact information. Next step is going to be looking at the final design. And right now, if you remember, we had started a contract with American Structure Point for a preliminary engineering and public outreach contract with the idea that we'd be coming back after we got closer to the recommended choice. And that's where we are at. Will you go to the next one, please? So I did want to show you the 3 alternates real quick. We have alternate 1. You can see this one was not favored by the public, also not recommended. This is one of the 3 options that did not have an elevated path connection to the Ohio to Erie Trail. And the public comment again was basically, you know what, if we're going to widen this road, this doesn't really seem like the best option. So that one fairly quickly eliminated. Next, this is alternate 2, shared use path and sidewalk, total retaining wall to edge of other retaining wall, 52 feet wide. This is the option that has both sidewalk and a shared use path. This seemed to have a slight edge in favor by the public. Also is my recommendation, as well as other staff members are in favor of this orientation. Real quick, can you go to the next slide? This is alternate 3. So essentially the only difference is you don't see a 7-foot sidewalk down at street level. In this orientation, it is 47 feet wide. Good number of retaining walls in this orientation versus alternate 2. We go back up 1. Thank you. So you can see we still have 3 retaining walls in alternate 2. So one of the points I want to make sure is clear, alt 2, alt 3, and again, I'm recommending alt 2 from a design standpoint with the retaining walls needed for both. The design fee is going to be very similar. So I am proposing the design fee to match this alternate, but if for some reason we went with alternate 3, we could look to see if there's any cost savings that could be had. And then go ahead and go back down. So here are the costs real quick. Anticipated design from the beginning, we anticipated 7.5 million in construction. So about 10% of that would be design, so 750,000. That preliminary design fee that we discussed, that is what we currently have under contract with American Structure Point. And then the 823,000 number would be the combination of what contract 2 would be for designing alternate 2 at just under $600,000 for a total of 823. So the difference between 823 and 750, it's about a $73,000 increase compared to where we were with the original thought on design. For alternate 2, I did want to point out there's about $1 million difference between the two. That has to do with some right-of-way acquisition. Also, there is a little bit more complexity in adding the sidewalk adjacent to the road, and just additional costs in that respect. So it's approximately $1 million over the anticipated budget. And just so you know, this $7.5 million is the construction estimate plus $500,000 in contingency, which is a typical practice. So any questions on my cost matrix?
Just from a clarification, so anticipated 7.5, that would be basically alternative 1. Would that be a correct statement? Or
Or estimate.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, that's the very early estimate that we received from Verdantis CT Consultants when we put in requests for funding initially. I mean, there had been no design done, and they were just estimating on a high level what they thought this project would be. So yeah, I wouldn't put a lot of stock necessarily in that number.
Yeah.
You know, now that we've engaged the engineer and they've done some additional costing, you know, I feel like we're much closer to reality.
yeah,
At this
Yeah,
particular
and at that point, they hadn't done much preliminary design, but we did need a construction estimate in order to get the grant funding for that 4.2 million.
well, I definitely like 2 the best. I mean, you only get one shot at this really, at least in a lifetime, so.
I don't think you could have said it better. I wasn't gonna break out into song, but almost now or never.
Yeah,
Whether or not we put sidewalk and shared use path in, not that we couldn't come back and do something, but it would be at the tune of much more than the additional $1 million now to get it done.
I'd be guessing decades later.
It seems to me there's a bit of a safety component too with having that sidewalk there, because if there's nothing underneath, people are gonna walk through there still,
Anyway,
especially from
yeah.
they're on the west side of the road, I figure. So.
I agree with that. Will you go back to alt 3 real quick too? And people will, excuse me, sorry. They will try to walk on that little 2-foot
Mhm.
ledge, and
Yeah.
that won't feel safe. People will do it because that will be the only path not to go up a hill to go over the Ohio to Erie Trail. So I agree, the sidewalk would definitely be beneficial, and it is my recommendation. I do have the large oversized visual aid in front of you guys. If you have questions about any of anything that you see on the aerial from this standpoint. I didn't have anybody at the public meeting that came up and was really adamantly against anything that they saw here. And we did have residents in this area. Certainly, there will be more communication with the residents that are impacted by right-of-way, temporary construction easements as we move forward in this project, regardless of what option we go with. But it sounds like the team is interested in alternate 2.
The other thing that I'd forgotten to mention is I think when the preliminary estimate was put in, there was not a lot of thought given to the Morning Street connection and the gas station access issues. So those are other items that have been, you know, taken into account.
So where will it connect to
Yeah.
the existing path?
So,
That's off of,
so up there, let me come around on the visual aid. So the path will come right here, and this is where the existing bridge abutments are located. Right now, the trail does not come all the way from the west side, and that connection will be needed. So as one of the reasons I believe it's been difficult to get the easements and get the trail in place is that everybody knows that this is a point where how are you going to get over State Route 37? Now that we have funding and we can move forward with construction, they'll see it coming, and we'll be able to aggressively go after that and work with Preservation Parks in trying to get this set up.
Yeah, and we did receive an email from Preservation Parks just recently regarding the east side. So they are actively putting the financing together to build from the abutment all the way over to Cherry Street, I think is that where, yeah, that's where it is now. So that leg, again, Preservation Parks is actively working on getting the financing now. So that issue of west of it still does need to be resolved.
And then the path will come down and it'll go down by certified gas station. And then eventually it will connect into J.R. Smith Park improvements. So that is the hope.
So if you were a bicyclist now, or even a walker, you can access this shared use path how?
Once,
You see it running along Granville Street there? You see that? It's on the bottom part of the map.
Is there stairs or?
it'll be
it's-
elevated. So the view for the, either alt 2 or alt 3, I'm sorry, Amber, thank you for being my Vanna with this presentation. See how the path is elevated here? So this is just for, purposes so you know that it does rise. And then it will be ground level and then it will slope up in order to reach
Okay.
the Ohio to Erie Trail.
Okay, so this isn't near the crossing over the road. It's below it.
It's below, but it goes up to it. It will go up and over the road.
Yes.
This doesn't show the bridge which will be the Ohio to Erie Trail, which would run
That's
left
what's
or right.
going-
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, there would be a bridge somewhere in there.
Yeah, there, I don't have a cross-section view of the bridge in my presentation, and it hasn't been fully designed. But that's something that we'll be looking at as well to make sure that we have a good option. And we did get some feedback from people that have opinions on what they think the bridge should look like and what materials it should be built out of. So we'll be looking at that as well.
so when this is built, it's immediately usable for,
Once it's built and the retaining walls are in, fences are up, yeah, you'll be able to use the path to get to the Ohio to Erie Trail.
and it'll extend from Morning Street down to,
Let's
It'll come down to Letts Avenue.
pass let's.
okay, so from the Letts, you'll be able to theoretically ride on the shared use path all the way down to Morning Street.
Yep, so on the east side of the street, you'll be able to get on the shared use path across from Letts Avenue and drive all the way up to Morning, up to J.R. Smith Park.
Is there a crosswalk?
So there are crosswalks. You can kind of see the lines designated in a few locations where there will be ramps. I know that one of the things they're looking at would be push button crosswalks in at least some of the locations, but they may be looking at all of them. Once we
Got
get
one
further
there.
into design. Which
We
one?
have one there,
This one?
right there, right?
Yeah.
And we
Yeah,
have one down by Boston.
Yeah, so with these mid-block crossings, yeah, we'd be looking at doing a push buttons there as well.
So for the semis, every time somebody wants to cross, they'll push the button and the semis will have to stop and let everybody go.
Yep, just like any crosswalk, flashing or not, definitely always recommend that pedestrians look at traffic, yield, and walk out, even if they have the right of way. So, yes, they're there as an additional safety factor in order to try to slow down traffic in these locations, but also, you know, making the path walkable. I believe the crossings over in this location are there so that students can get to school.
Where's the gas station? Is it right? Yeah, right there. Okay,
Yeah.
yep. Okay.
Yep, so this was the portion that Daryl had mentioned, what may not have been considered
Right.
in the design. Leaving this intersection kind of offset and just improving it slightly was one of the initial concepts, but we really wanted to look at access management. So you can see up here, right now, this curb cut is just completely open along the east side in front of the gas station. We'd like to look at dedicated driveway access points. Sorry, this one's cut off a little bit, so that vehicles can enter in. And it's something that we'll definitely work with the gas station on. We know that there are large trucks that like to utilize this stop, so we'll need to make sure that those driveways will work for that. Another piece of feedback that we received from one of the residents in this area was that there are vehicles that will turn to go up Morning Street, and that turn radius can be very difficult, and vehicles will turn into the grass area there. So we'll be looking at this turn radius as well to get trucks into that location.
That's actually not a thoroughfare though. Anyway, I don't think that'll be a problem, but I do think the people on Morning Street are gonna like that.
Yeah, I think that they will as well. We've got the curb extended, at least to this drive location. We did have some feedback that there were drainage issues on the corner that we're hoping that curb can help improve the way that the water flows in that location, and also improve the catch basin on the corner as well. So essentially, right now, the curb doesn't come as far into the road. It's set further back, and it makes it a very awkward intersection. This should add some clarity to, you know, who should be turning in which location for this this awkward intersection. Also, the gas station not having vehicles pulling out at any location along the drive will help add some clarity there as well.
Jim's Auto's back there, right? Or is it right where the blacktop will end?
Jim's Auto, I think it's a little further.
I think it's a couple more.
Yeah, I think it's further up as well.
Cause right now you really feel like they'd have no business going back there, you know?
It's the white building on Morning Street that's beyond the scope of the
Gotcha.
You can see it. Okay.
Yep,
very top, right to your
up there.
right.
Yep, one more. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
John, I'm glad you said earlier, you know, we're taking the long view on this. I think in summary, it's exactly what I said with Daryl and Carlo when we went through this. This is a 40, 50-year project. I mean, that's the type of lens that we're thinking about. I mean, think that the last substantive change in this area was the railroad being taken out. And ever since then, you know, the problems have compounded with not only the amount of traffic, but storm, you know, storm drain issues and pedestrian access and all of that. So thanks for saying that. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
The other thing I was going to say about the $1 million overage, you mentioned the contingency, I believe, which is it 20% or 30%?
It's
It's a big
usually
number.
10%
Okay.
when you actually get the contract out, but at this stage, a design consultant will put 20% in there.
So that's, I mean, that's a significant chunk. I mean, that is like, you know, they're making assumptions and a lot of them are wrong, or there's a lot of change orders, or, you know, whatever the contingency cover. The other thing, and I don't know if you mentioned, was the inflationary factor that's in there as well, and that's factored, I think, at 11%,
11%, yes.
which is pretty high. But not unreasonable in these times, I guess. So,
Yeah.
You know, I feel confident that there's a good amount of wiggle room, and I'll call it like we can whittle that number down, as well as, and Daryl and I spoke about, you know, pursuing other financial assistance through other grant programs along the way.
Yeah, so we have a meeting with ODOT District 6 tomorrow, who is helping to lead the $4.2 million that we were awarded from a federal standpoint. However, the meeting tomorrow is to see what other grant funding could be coupled for this project, targeting safety and pedestrian mobility.
Yeah. So I think what you're asking us is, do we agree with the public and that a sidewalk and a multi-use trail?
That is what I'm asking, but also pointing out that at council in 2 weeks, we would be bringing a first reading for a just under $600,000 contract so that American Structure Point can work on the final design for this project.
I support the chair's decision to move forward with this plan.
Well, that is my decision, so. So in the, thank you for that. We will proceed accordingly. And this is still a 2027 construction project, is that right?
Yep, we're still looking at 2027
So-
to award before July of 2027 for construction. And there's a tight time frame on there. So as I get up here, you know, I may have another presentation where instead of money, it's dates and critical path and right of way. I know you guys will be excited to hear all about those nuances as we move forward with this critical project.
Will that be in a chart format?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
A spreadsheet is
Yeah.
probably the direction I will go.
Please, me colors, please.
Let's target January 1st through 3rd of 2020.
Are you on vacation, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I mean, the point is, that's less than 2 years away.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know what seemed like a project way off in the distance is definitely becoming a reality. So,
Yeah.
How does something like this actually take,
How,
start to finish on something like this?
the construction side
Yeah.
of it,
Just ballpark.
I think it'll take 2 good construction seasons.
Okay.
So it might be a little bit under 2 years, but
29 probably by the time this thing, people are slowing down this.
yeah, if they can get started in 2027
Yeah.
mhm.
to be substantially complete by the end of 2028 would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But there's a possibility 2029
Okay.
to do some button up items. So we'll be getting into maintenance of traffic and all of those other fun topics that I know the public will be interested in. We'll have another public meeting so that the community can look at the project and have a little bit more information on how the project will affect them during construction over what will be a long period of time. The other thing I will point out is that one of the other critical path items is for us to talk to the utilities such as Columbia Gas, other utilities on poles in the area, just to see if anything needs to be relocated. Utility relocation can occur before construction, and the public usually doesn't look at that and say, oh, well, you didn't start until 2027. You've been under construction since 2026. So as we get a better handle on maybe some of those pre-construction items, I'll be sharing so that the public's aware, but it definitely will be a long process, well worth it.
Yeah, maintenance of traffic, that's a great point. I know we've talked a little bit about that. I mean, if you reroute traffic around this area, it's a faster project. You know, if you're trying to do one lane at a time, it's going to take a little bit longer. But, you know, there may be compelling reasons to go either way. So I think we'll look to the design consultant. Do they help us kind of sort through that option? Yeah.
Yeah, and on a massive project like this, the design consultant typically will make a recommendation on the maintenance of traffic. And then a contractor will come in and look at it, and they may have some other ideas in order to speed it up, make it more cost efficient, and all of those are things that we can discuss with the contractor and the design consultant just to make sure we agree with what would be best for the community. But as Mr. Hennessy mentioned, being able to shut down traffic so that they have access to the road, especially as they're working on these retaining walls, that could speed it up. I'm more comfortable saying by the end of 2028, we could have it completely opened if we did a shutdown. But let's just wait until we get a little bit closer with design, and we'll come back and talk more about.
I support that, because I think it would be a good proof of concept for I hate to use the word bypass, another way around the city.
That people will definitely need to look for alternates, and maybe some of it will stick. Yes, exactly. People will find a new favorite path.
That's right.
All right, we'll bring it, design contract to the council meeting, September 17th.
All right. We are on to wastewater treatment plant updates.
I just wanted to share some of the pictures of the wastewater treatment plant, and the street improvement program will follow in the pictures. I did get this picture from Simonson. They had a drone up. So looking at it down here at the bottom portion of the picture, you can see the aerobic digesters that are under construction. So to the top side is our wastewater treatment plant. You can see the aerobic digesters, our little building. If you can't get a sense of the plant is doubling from this picture, I don't know what else will show it, but this definitely gives you an idea. When they said, for the most part, they would be working on the aerobic digesters this year, it's because it is a massive excavation. We go to the next picture. There's another view of it from an aerial. If you go to the left side of the picture, that's going to be the direction of the middle school. My neighbor is a middle school teacher. She said the kids keep looking out the window and are staring at the construction. I told her, let me know. We can put hard hats on them and give them a little tour. She teaches English, so I don't know that she's having them come out, but I thought I'd offer. Can you go to the next? This picture gives you an idea of the scale of those 20-foot rebar, and it also starts to show you, the depth of that hole that we were talking about before, 20 feet deep. You can see the rebar is starting to get to ground level. So that wall again is going to be 4 feet above the ground surface, and they'll be able to pour those. It's a really cool operation if you're able to
Definitely.
get out there and see it. I think there's one more. Oh, yep, just another view of some of the rebar on digester 4.
Can't just drive out there, though. It would be better to organize
If you went out there closed-toed shoes, then you'd probably want a hard hat, and I'd stop at the main building and then someone would walk you out there. There is a job trailer out there, and they typically have some extra gear if you wanted to take a look, but certainly a heads up would be
maybe a
welcome.
couple groups could go,
Yeah,
from
Absolutely. I'd be happy to take you guys out there and look at it a few days after the rain has settled, because it does get quite muddy out. But they are on schedule for the treatment plant so far. I'm hoping that once the aerobic digesters get a little further along, I can start talking about some of the other components that they're going to start focusing on, but I'll let you know if there's any sort of delay or concern with any portion of the project. But so far, it's been moving along nicely. You go to the next. All right, just a couple pictures of our street improvement program. This is showing Cheshire Road milling, and then the paving portion of the project. Sorry about my no title picture there while I was pulling the snapshot. Just to give you an idea of what the equipment looks like out there, and they've been working pretty hard on getting, they're about halfway through the streets that need to be done. We still have Walnut View Street, Hill, Cemetery Road, that they're going to come back and mill and do a little bit more depth instead of just a typical traditional mill and fill. Can you go to the next? And then here's McGill Street. So if you noticed when we were out there for the ribbon cutting on Walnut Street, they had milled out that portion of McGill, and it's paved nice and new, which is nice because now it is an active road. And then I also grabbed one of the pictures of the Rejuvenator. This was one of the questions I've had a few comments on out in the city. If you remember, that Rejuvenator is a binder, so it's a liquid that goes on the surface of the road and essentially adds that binder back into the pavement. They put a very fine gravel, almost sand-like, and you've probably seen signs out in the community that say loose gravel. It helps with the tackiness, but it also binds to this binder at the surface level and gives it a little bit of roughness. Now, over the course of a couple weeks, you will see that gravel will start to dissipate. Also, they came through today and did a sweep of the roads that were rejuvenated. So hopefully you'll notice today or this evening and tomorrow a difference. If you are traveling on those roads, they should have pulled the loose gravel signs. And then also with the rejuvenation, if any of the streets had paint on them, so you can see like the line, it's not great in this picture, but they do look a little bit dull through this process. Give it a couple of weeks and those, paint will start to pop back up. It just takes a little bit of time, but that's some of the feedback that's people typically hear, when they're concerned about an area that's been rejuvenated. Go to the next up, and that concludes my updates, I believe. Oh, and sorry, and Columbus Street parking lot is another portion. Originally, I had mentioned that Decker was going to have a sub contractor, Ironsight, who did Walnut Street, the Walnut Street stabilization project. They have come back and said that they would be able to do that project in-house. So Decker is planning on doing the construction. I don't have the exact date, but they are planning on starting later this month. And that would mean we should see tree removals here in the next couple of weeks. In 2 weeks, I should have a more updated schedule on that and any remaining street work.
I really like the rejuvenator. I think it's gonna be I think that's a really wise investment.
Yeah, I think that we're gonna like it too. So far, I think Jake also said that he thought it was looking very good out there, and I think it'll be a great case study for us as we move forward and see streets that were paved a couple years ago. I did talk to Pavement Technologies who did the rejuvenator, and they did say, I believe he said the streets were thirsty, so they were accepting that binder well, which means it was filling the void, and hopefully it'll extend that pavement life an extra 5 to 7 years.
Excellent. That brings us to capital projects and funding applications.
Yep, so one of the items I've been trying to keep, I've started to put on the services committee meeting is just a quick look ahead of what may come up. I have it for October, November. I know this is the prime time to be talking about OPWC funding. We have had Verdantis in here to talk about projects for that. At least so far, I have reached out to them with a couple projects I thought could score well, and I'm having them double check so that perhaps we can go after a project that isn't our typical streets program. And I should have more information at the next meeting for that grant, but maybe a couple others that we'll look at, including a debrief from my meeting tomorrow, if I have any update on grant funding that could supplement the 37 widening project.
Yeah, and maybe now's a good time. I mean, if you have any other projects you want to make sure that we get a little bit more, you think you haven't heard about for a while and you would like to hear more, let us know, and we can certainly get those on the schedule.
I don't have any now.
The next meeting. More than two.
I'm not used to us wrapping up the agenda this early.
I know the chair had asked me to do a better job of,
He did declaratively did not say that, but.
The Parks Committee was longer than the services. I'm just.
Well, it's a banner day then. I'll take it.
yeah, for sure.
All right. Is there anything else that we need to cover for good of the group? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn then. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Dreyer. Roll call.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Ms. Dreyer,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
4 yeas, we are adjourned.